Heyo, Dream Warriors. We're sitting down here with Mark the Merc. And we're having a good time. We're doing Creed 2, a follow-up, episode 106. Our latest episode was Sylvester Stallone, Deep Dive. We waited. I've been sick. But we're here now to talk Creed 2. Mark, are you ready?
I am.
Hey, Dream Warriors, welcome back. How's everyone doing? Mark, how are you doing?
Great.
Mark and I just did an hour recording after talking for 1 hour, and
we did the green room.
We did the green room, and I think we're going to launch Dream Warriors YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to, so if everyone heads to my YouTube channel, just find me with AKAPAD. You're going to find an epic comic book, ranked comic book dissection. Lots of points of views,
lots of angles, lots of tangents
on everything. Yeah, and look. For anyone that's new, I'm Pete. I'm your host. I'm your boy. I'm your dude.
Your boy.
And I'm here with Mark the Merc. Mark comes in whenever he's sober to talk comics.
I'm sober right now.
Right now for this short amount of time.
I like that.
Get it while you
like the IPAs. I like the heavy IPAs.
At Dream Warriors, we're focused on long-form, deep-dive pop culture discussions where we criticize the cynicism of critics. And we focus on movies, streaming, TV, pro wrestling now, NFL football now, and part audio log. We talk a lot about our lives. Yeah. And tonight we're talking about Creed 2. And on a extended, sorry, I'm getting dry mouth here. On an extended side note, there's all kinds of fantastic ways to support the show. If you're listening on SoundCloud, there's a link. You can donate to the show through the link. If you go to akapad.com, you can make a donation through PayPal. And then we have Twitter, AKAPad on Snapchat, and Snapchat and Twitter. I'm losing my mind.
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram and AKAPad13 on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also find Dream Warrior mobile episodes now on Anchor, which are 7-minute quick drops. Yeah, the Anchor network is already growing. And if you wanted to further support the efforts, because, Mark, what did we eat tonight before we even recorded?
We always eat the Domino's. We get the Domino's.
Yeah, so
we never get the order right.
No, they messed up the order, but
they showed up. One episode they didn't. They barely showed up. We an hour and a half late.
Maybe more than an hour.
I almost passed out that episode.
That was a tough one, yeah. And then look, you can purchase my creative products and services on Etsy. So just search AKAPad or Etsy/AKAPad, and so that there's snacks here for guys like Mark when they contribute to the show, because they're greatly appreciated, and their efforts are loved. Even though sometimes Mark will frustrate the living hell out of me, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't acknowledge he's doing it, but I know he knows what he's doing. It's a silent agreement between Mark and myself that we have this arrangement. But Mark, would you like to plug anything? Would you?
Yeah, I started. I'm trying to do the Instagram.
I saw you. You have done multiple art posts now.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Now you're up to 5 posts.
Up to 5 posts. Been on there for like 4 years. So that's
good.
I'm bringing the average down.
Mark's a single guy, and Mark appreciates the power of social media and how they can pull in talent and actually pre-qualify people for his social media thread. And because who likes stalking online? It's not men, it's women. Women are your biggest online stalkers, and and this is why
I've had some interesting, just by doing little bits over the last 3 weeks, I've had some interesting drops where I've had people reach out in various ways.
Yeah,
so it's
interesting.
I see it. You've been telling me for 3 years.
3 years. I've been telling you hardcore.
Mark MARC Leone LEONE 123.
Yeah, and
that's my Instagram.
And shout out to Mark's dad.
Why?
Because I like your dad.
Oh yeah,
I like your dad.
He's an avid listener.
I like your dad.
Frequent commenter.
I'd like your whole family outside your ex-wife.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't like her. Not at all. Mark brings her up, and he's venting, but he doesn't understand how much my blood boils when
Right.
he.
You're so mad for me.
Like when he vents to me, my inner anger is off the charts.
Yeah.
It's literally like
nice.
It's literally
Because
like
you
a
love me.
Pop-Tart
That's nice.
that gets stuck in the toaster. And the toaster keeps burning and
Right.
going.
It's bubbling inside, and it's like you're gonna get the house is catching on fire.
Okay, Mark, my boy,
Here it is, Creed 2.
what did you think of this movie?
It's good,
Okay.
not great.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have lots of
to me,
notes.
complete home run,
Mm-hmm.
completely unique, one of the all-time sequels, maybe top 2, top 3 sequel now in my eyes. Performed on every possible level. Now, Mark, you and I are different film goers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one that wants to like things and love life
Hang
and
on, hold on.
and
I'm
frolic.
I'm pretty silver lining down.
And frolic.
I like things.
I want to prance in the fields of popcorn.
Okay.
I want to run down the street throwing jelly beans and jujubes
Okay.
and snow caps to everyone. Okay.
All right. Good visual.
And you, on the other hand, you lean. I would say you lean more cynicism.
You're probably right. I
think you're more cynical.
I immediately turned on my own opinion of myself just now.
Right, Pete.
I was processing in that
Pete,
20 seconds of you describing me
Yeah.
to go, you know what, I am, you know what,
Yeah.
there are some flaws.
and I'm
there are
also
some things.
and I'm also thinking about snow caps.
Right. Yeah.
They're great though.
Yeah.
I love snow caps.
So I think you're right. It's hard for me to watch. So we're both storytellers, right? We literally tell stories.
Yeah.
We write stories. We draw stories. So I think
We're creators.
the problem is when we see things that have our brain tries to fit it in to where we think it might go.
I see what you
Sometimes.
mean. So right. So
But we're not making the Creeds. Me and you didn't make this
not
movie.
my movie.
Not my
Hashtag not my movie.
movie. Hashtag. So I should do that every time. Like, well, this is not. I just sit there and go.
It's not my movie.
Stop being angry, Mark.
Yeah.
This is not my movie.
It's not your movie. It's not even, how about here's a extended thought. I said this to you before. It's not made for you, dude. It's not
is made for me.
No, it's
Well,
not
it's-
made for you.
Oh, that's.
It's not. They're not.
Oh, the weirdo movies I like. I always think that the ones that
Right,
no one.
you think those ones are made
They
for
are
you?
made for me.
Right. So, what are we doing here? I don't understand. I'm so confused.
All right. So you went Thanksgiving Day.
I went Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving night. So here's the thing. Dream Warriors was on hiatus because I got not seriously sick. I got sick for maybe the first time in about 6 years. I got sick. Now, I got sick post-Thanksgiving, Saturday night, okay? So what happened was I was up all night Tuesday, practically. I slept only a few hours. I go into Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. I do a ton of things here so I can bring work to my parents and be as productive as I can because I'm spending 2 nights at my parents'.
Right in Jersey.
Okay, in NJ, I had to do things for Dallas the cat. Follow him at Diamond Dallas Cat on Instagram, and so I just had like a very big productive Tuesday going into Wednesday. So Wednesday afternoon, I take a train into Jersey. My parents pick me up, and I'm kind of like at their place, feeling good. Like, like I'm coming down. My brain was on fire. I got the laptop, and I'm just doing work. Okay, I think I was actually working on the Rocky episode. Okay, and I'm like, let me just start setting up some files and doing this and doing that. And what I did was like on the train, because my headphones had to get updated. The firmware on my Beats had to get updated, so I couldn't listen to music.
Oh my God.
And I'm so
I
into
lost my mind.
and I'm so into wireless that I didn't want to use, because I always have wired headphones like curled up in my pocket as a backup. But this time I'm like, no, I want the wireless. So I'm so upset at that. It
The
not
sound quality's
like
better
it.
in your Beats.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I'm just so upset that I just at this point on the train I'm texting people, just hitting them up, and now I get responses at 9:00 at night, and FOMO, fear of missing out. Someone hits me up, and I assemble the Jersey Knights, and we go out until about 4:00 in the morning. So now I haven't really slept for 2 days. I had a full night of alcohol. We end up at this mixed martial arts dude's place that we met while we were out. Yeah. This guy's like a mixed martial artist. Totally fun dude. Like, we knew some of the same people. One of my friends is a general manager for one of the leagues outside of Atlantic City. That's how we know the same people. So I get home at about 4:30. I cut and publish the final episode of Thanks Flicking. Okay, which was Dutch. I published that episode Thanksgiving morning at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and then go to sleep, and then somehow wake up at 7:30. So now I'm up from 7:30 on Thanksgiving all the way through Thanksgiving, drinking the entire time. We go see Creed at about 7:30. So, and from 7:30 to 9:30, and at this point, Mrs. DeLuca, Leslie DeLuca, wanted to go Black Friday shopping post Creed. I convinced her, let's wake up early and go, because I need to sleep. Now, at this point, I haven't slept, tons of alcohol, like all the emotions of Thanksgiving, sitting through Creed. I also had 2 cysts on my stomach from ingrown hairs at 2 separate times. Wow. They were a week apart, and they got infected, and the fluid built up so quick. I literally had pockets of pus.
When you said a week apart, I thought it was like contractions. It was like
it
was like a baby.
One of them came and went, got infected, came and went, and the other one, I got the other one while I was sitting down. When we did the Sylvester Stallone episode 105, the latest episode, I got a ingrown hair that night that also got infected. It's weird, the weirdest thing. I don't know exactly what's happening. So I think with that, my body fighting off those, the no sleep, the alcohol, maybe like 72 hours or maybe 6 hours combined sleep in 3 days, my immune system went to hell. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then going into Saturday is, I essentially woke up completely ill. Had kind of like an arrangement with a girl, like a date. Made her upset because I actually stayed in, and I kind of made her feel like I was going to be able to go out later. I was like, I need to sleep, and and it didn't happen. And then what I'm getting at is like we had a week. We're seeing this movie. We're talking about this movie a week out from seeing it because it took me a solid week just to get my mojo back. Even though I was out for one day, which was that Saturday, but it takes a lot to keep me out. So I just kept doing little things, keep working, but focusing on like more sleep. And I get sleeping like a normal person. That's the only way. Like when I get sick, I sleep like a normal person. I'm sleeping like 8 hours a night. Like, it's weird, but whatever. But anyway, so going into this, I just wanted to set that up for you. But, so tell me about Creed. What are you not liking about Creed?
Okay, so I took my dad, and it was nice. So I went Thanksgiving morning.
Shout out to your dad.
Right. So what was cool was I text him, I pick him up. We went to a lot of places were sold out. I understand. This is my first gripe about things.
Okay.
Just the world, really. Here we go. Like, I understand the reclining seats and the reserve seating, but like there's so many less seats now.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Right?
This is a long criticism of mine. If the price they're sacrificing in some theaters, I've estimated 6 seats per recliner.
Right.
6.
At least.
Okay. Those recliner seats don't cost $60 a seat. They cost like 20 something. So you're losing the price of 4 seats. Like, you're losing money with the recliners.
I feel like they're I don't know. To me, I feel like every time I look at one, it's like $13 per seat. And I was like, but I could go to Voorhees and it's 7 or 8.
Yeah. See, there's also that point, too. There's a huge discrepancy. I'm all for, like, if you go see, like, an opera, if you go see, like, a stage play somewhere, you sit down to watch the event. You go to like some of the concert venues that you and I like. Mm-hmm. So many of them are standing room only.
Right.
Like, you're there for the show. You're not there to be comfortable. And for some reason now movies have to be comfortable or they're nothing. And I like the idea of just sitting down and watching the freaking movie for 2 hours and moving on. Like,
Right.
I don't need to fall asleep while I'm watching the movie.
I feel like I fall asleep. I feel like I'm definitely.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, I think that because the home video market became a big thing, and the comfort of your own
they're
home.
they're trying to duplicate
Right.
that.
So they're like, go back out, but so I don't know. I mean, listen, the movies are making money. The movie made a ton of money. Rock Break Center made a ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, look, when it comes with inflation, the original Rocky still made. We talked about this. Made $500 million.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing with inflation. We're being kind.
I really liked it. Like, I went and it was basically everyone and their dad. Like, we
Yeah.
pulled up to the theater and it was like it was just a bunch of us going in together.
That's
and it was
cool.
Everyone took their dad on Thanksgiving Day to greet too. So it was pretty cool. We got there. We thought it was not open. It was open at 10. We got there at 10. It was a 10:35 show. We walk in, get my good seats, and that was just going to Voorhees as is.
Yeah.
So I mean, basically my initial reaction is this: it's almost like a Last Jedi situation where I don't know where they can go from here. Just to kind of go in an overall perspective, I feel like this is actually the end of the Rocky Balboa trilogy in a way.
I kind of
Rocky Balboa, Creed 2. That's this new trilogy in a way.
I mean, so Creed 2 is unique because it's potentially the end of a trilogy. It's a sequel to Rocky 2. I mean Rocky 4, and then it's a sequel to Creed. It's
Creed is a silent sequel to Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, silent sequel or reboot or update or
Reboot cool.
It's such a unique thing. But okay, so with all of that though, what you said, maybe you were expecting something. What
I don't know.
Bring me into the mind of cynical Mark.
I like my long Stallone speeches. I like the different. I felt like there wasn't enough of the motivation stuff. There wasn't enough pull through. There's a couple things. So I made the main notes of the hits and misses. In my opinion, you know what I mean.
Let's hear them.
I think the hits are him having a kid. I think that that's all. This whole story is fathers and sons. Everything is fathers and sons.
Okay.
I didn't love that essentially you have Rocky turning into Adrian. So Rocky is Adrian going, you can't win. You know what I mean? It's like they basically pull him into that
in the way, no.
I understand it.
In the way, he was saying that he knew he wasn't, he didn't have anything to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how he knew he was going to lose. But then there was also the connection with what happened within Rocky 4.
Right. I could have had more of that.
Yeah. Well, I think if they went any further into it, I really feel like it was the right amount. I think if they went further into Rocky 4, now it's now you have to you can't call this Creed 2.
Right.
Now it's a Rocky movie. I think they touched on it just enough. I think people understood the idea. We got the premise, and in a way, you really don't have to watch Rocky 4 to get this movie at all.
Right.
I think you can subtract Rocky 4 from the thing and just have this as the backstory. But continue.
So I'd say the other hit, I think that Stallone and I watched a lot, so we all know that my other problem this is a problem that when I see a 2-hour movie I ingest. Well, how many hours of post-Creed movie things do you think that I ingested? What would you say? You podcasts, YouTube, interviews.
Oh my God!
What do you think I did?
You go hard. I didn't do any.
So I went at least 10 hours. So I'm about 10 hours deep into that stuff. I'll just put on interviews.
So what'd you take away
I
from?
watched a build series. First off, I like that it is a handoff in a way, and I do think that the director. It's almost an impossible task, right?
Maybe,
in a way.
Maybe. I don't really think it is, because if they knew where they were going with Victor Drago, with Ivan Drago's son, if they knew that they were really going to mine Rocky 4 for this, I believe the movie writes itself. But the parts that don't write itself is the melodrama, which would be, again, we have to have a spiritual angle, which would be, what are you fighting for? And then the kid becoming that. Right. So to me, I think it's a perfect flow. I don't think that, again, there's very little that they could have added nuance to.
No,
when it comes
I think
to
structurally, it's funny because it's formulated. A lot of people are giving it trouble. A lot of critics are giving it trouble because it is a perfectly formulaic film. However, I think there's
I don't know. People say that, but if you're watching the movie as a film goer, you never could see the hook coming. So, like, the hook at the end of the movie, like, maybe we'll get into that for a little bit, but then you really didn't know where that movie was going. And anyone tells you that they did, like, you know, people that tell you, oh, I knew Michael Keaton was, what's her name's, father in Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, anyone that you know, they're full of it. They're 100% full of it, okay? I think it's a lot of that. I think the cynical side sometimes... not just targeting towards you, but most like critics will, you know, they'll have 10 scenarios in their head, and one of the scenarios happens to be true, and they're like, "Oh, it's predictable." It's like, no. You're overly analyzing the movie. Tell me about the other 9 scenarios.
There's only so many ways you can
Right. Tell me about the other 9 scenarios that like you don't talk about those sometimes. But no. Okay. But yeah. So. Go. Yeah.
So the physicality, I mean, I would say that like the major hit is that Michael Jordan's a beast. Like he looks so much different in this movie.
He does, but here's the funny thing. I don't think he looked heavyweight at all.
No, I don't even know if they need to say
he's maybe light heavyweight. He's not looking 260 pounds.
Right. He looks
he's
bigger.
Not close to 260.
But that other dude is fucking nuts.
Animal.
When they were doing the slow-mo with him with the ropes, I was like, dude, that guy's a fucking train.
Yeah.
He was frightening. I think they did a good job. First off, the movie starts off with the movie starts with like the cold open. Literally, it's a cold open in Ukraine of them training, of them running, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I thought the way that they set this movie up, which you would maybe call like the first act, was perfect. The one thing in that point of the movie that annoyed me was there was too many tracking shots with like the camera behind the people walking. There was like at least 4 of those, and I'm just like, is this every shot of this movie now? Like someone's walking towards the door and there was like a reveal and we're like tracking the person. But other than that, the angle and the angst of the Drago family. Again, you would never expect that. You would never. But this is what I mean about like the movie writes itself. Meaning, and there was only a couple options you could do to set up the Dragos, like or the Drago family. Like there was only so many options for that. There's only so many options for how do we get reintroduced into Creed. Like we get introduced into Creed. He's fought 6 matches between the first movie and this movie, and on the 6th one, he has built his name up to win the title. Okay, so this is now not a movie about him retaining the title, competing for the title, and or winning the title, because what they did was they took a rule book out of WWE. Okay, and when he finally meets Victor Drago, what do? Everyone's a winner. It's a disqualification. Okay,
which makes it an immediate like I need to have a reason.
Okay, so but it's also not a clean win, and it's not a dirty win. It's a DQ. WWE will do this when they want to maybe buy time and build anticipation for a bigger payoff. Meaning the 2 guys that they're setting up to fight, it's going to be a disqualification. We're not going to get a clean winner. You know, and I think they borrowed someone. I really feel like they borrowed that from the World Wrestling entertainment.
So the thing was they kept going. They kept calling him. The commissioner kept calling the trainer and saying, "You have to fight, or you have to give up the belt." Is that what you mean?
Well, no.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah. You have to retain and defend the title. If you do not retain and defend the title is vacated. And then the next 2 contenders, or the next 2 fights that are set up, like, or it's usually by the commission. That is like now we have a that's called an interim title.
Okay.
So now we have like the vacated title. We have a new interim champion, and now the original guy that gave it up, kind of that didn't defend it, he can come back and reclaim it. So like you set up like a lot of good fights now. Realistically, Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's 2 years between the movies, or was it 2 or 3 years?
I think 3.
I think it was 3. So that means Victor Creed was fighting twice a year. Okay, 2 heavyweight bouts a year. We go back to like Mike Tyson, Tommy Morrison, Evander Holyfield, George Foreman. Those guys were fighting 5 times a year. So it's okay, whatever. It's a different world now. People look at concussions, and hits in the head differently. It's a little bit softer. But if we remember in the first Creed, he only had one pro bout. Like, Creed only had one real fight, and then he fought the champion. Okay, and then he won all those rounds, and it's just like Rocky. He just survived the 12 rounds. Didn't win. Okay, again, like it's a soft win. It's a soft loss. It's a spiritual win. Okay,
right.
But he had a record in Mexico, and what the promoter did in the original Creed was roll in the one victory he had, the one pro fight, and the Mexico record, and he became 17-0.
Right,
and that's how they built that up in Creed to give it credibility to why he would fight this guy, and with the caveat that he would have to fight under Creed, because in the first movie he wants to fight under his like pseudonym, kind of. Okay, right. So in this movie, they spent time to have him have a professional record, like leading into that championship belt.
But also, he's fighting someone who is over. And he's his first fight, essentially, he wins easily, so it's not even a win.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, he's...
Because he's fighting someone that's just, like, he's past his prime and he's done.
Yeah, that's kind of like what they alluded to. They alluded...
Because almost he wins, but then the second he wins, he didn't even win.
Yeah.
He won, but didn't win.
So what else? What are some of your other cons?
Well, I think that, yeah, I mean, I feel that, I know what you're saying. Rocky has to be sidelined. I felt like when they went to... Well, first, I felt it was so fast. All right, so the miss is this. Here's a big miss. I think that they just completely... And this is from the first one. They miscast Duke's son. So when you think about Duke, and then he's the guy with the mustache, and he's always screaming, that's Apollo Creed's coach.
Right.
So they have his son. He's so weak. He's not motivating anything at all.
Yeah,
I know that's the point. I get it. But like, he's got to be at least a little good to train some of these other people that have been successful.
Yeah, I don't know. I just look.
Like there's no like that. As he did lose that fight before that fight was over before it started when he first fought Drago.
Yeah,
and it would also happen like within like it felt like the first like 20 minutes. Like he's like that's and I was like okay this is immediately.
Well, that was great. Yeah, because
I think that's correct.
I thought when they got to that bout, when they got to that fight, I'm like, wow, what's going to happen after this? Like, there's a whole chunk of movie after
I was like,
this.
okay, he's going to lose, and then Rocky's going to come back, and then we're going to have the second fight.
So it swerved, and you were wrong. You were 100% wrong.
That's exactly what happened.
No, because he didn't lose. He got disqualified.
Well,
and he didn't lose the belt. He never lost the belt in the entire movie.
But that's the curve motivation that gets it going. But he still has to go fight.
Well,
they did have I will say this. Yeah. They did have a heavy middle. I like the depression stuff. He's underwater. It's sad. He's got a beard. You know what I mean? Beard means you're sad.
Yeah, look, I think like some of it too is that there's like this there's like real boxing, right? So the way you train against someone in boxing is you understand the habits of your opponent, and you train your instinct, like repetitive training, to maybe have like an instinct to take advantage of their habits. Mm-hmm. Okay, meaning if the guy drops his hand a certain way, like when he punches and stuff, and you'll develop combinations to attack his, like, like you develop these like systems.
I just thought you were supposed to go to their country, and then you switch countries. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a little bit of that when there's national like backgrounds for a lot of these guys. Like that's not really uncommon. A lot of times too, you would go on the neutral ground, like go to Africa, go to London, go to this is not uncommon. The Logan Paul KSI fight is now going to be in Las Vegas. The original one was in London on KSI's turf, for those of us who watch YouTube boxers. But the thing is though, I think like not every boxing something needs to have like a speech. I think those speeches and those moments in the Rocky movie, we'll call Creed the Rocky movie, is reserved for Rocky.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and, you know, and do I think it's filler? Do I think it's all like some of it's like Mickey? You know, is some of it filler? I would say yes. You know, but at the same time, though, what was the point of this movie? Really was to, like, almost like know your presence. Like, if you're present, you can achieve anything. Okay, and as in Rocky 3, he fell out of his frame, and he was vulnerable mentally. And that's what the whole point of these Rocky movies are. It's like the mental battle in that ring. It's the mind over everything.
Yeah, you're the opponent.
Yeah.
Yourself when you look in the mirror.
But I love that they flipped the script. That Creed was the one training in like a rural fashion, and Victor was training more traditional. The hook at the end where they had to throw in the towel.
That was. I literally like almost screamed when that happened. I was it reacted me like a lot. I was like, oh wow, like I know I made a vocal
that
noise.
Was
I was
such
like, holy shit,
a great hook. Him growing his life, like you know, like again having a kid. You know, the one thing I would like to have them address though is that his wife or the Valkyrie girl, the girl from Thor Ragnarok, that her music career was picking up, and then she gets pregnant, and then like that either gets put on hold or it goes away. And for I thought they should address that being some of the the compromises of a marriage and the compromises of supporting your spouse.
Right. They were starting it off and it was cutesy, and then it was like,
yeah,
oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this right now. They had like a one small scene. Okay.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, which was at the Electric Factory, right?
The Fillmore.
The Fillmore, yeah. The Fillmore, yeah.
They promoted themselves up.
I love it.
We're 3 blocks we're 3 blocks from Electric Factory or whatever it's called now. It's not even called that now.
No, it's
we're like 10 blocks from Fillmore.
Yeah, but the thing is, I thought like that was like maybe the one thing that could have been a cut scene. That could have been like something, but which could have maybe explained some of the rift that they had down the movie is that scene. And I get it, you cut things sometimes to move forward, but it just seems like that to me, that scene is somewhere there.
Yeah, there's two deleted scenes I know of. There's one that's online of Rocky going in his basement and pulling together and watching, I think, their match in Rocky 2. He's watching Apollo for some reason.
Yeah.
And then someone online like cut like all these intercut scenes, and they basically made like a 10-minute scene, which is not even a real scene. It's
wow.
just like, it was pretty cool. Like,
that's kind of cool, yeah.
And then there's a scene where it was someone filmed it on their phone, but when he's visiting him in the hospital, and Rocky's visiting Apollo in the hospital, he goes downstairs.
Okay.
And they're in the like emergency room. Like they're there.
Oh, cool.
And, like I don't think the son is. I don't think Victor is. But Ivan's there, and they get in like a pushing match because I saw like the stunt coordination of them talking to each other. And how they're gonna do it and block
that's cool.
So I don't know, like, but maybe that scene didn't hit. I wanted them to have something either at the end. I wanted Rocky and Drago to talk a little more than they talked just in the restaurant.
I thought that restaurant because
I think that was
because you know what it is. I like Rocky's attitude and the way, and you can tell like some of that was written by Stallone. Like I think that scene was written by Stallone because it's almost like that was a like an exhibition match. You know, these frames, these pictures I have frames are from my professional bouts. Is when I was a fighter, not an exhibitionist. When I was in the peak of my career,
right?
Okay, and I just
that's because Drago's giving him shit about like where's me,
right? And I like that, and I like that Rocky came off that he has moved on, like from that because it was a long time ago, but then we see how much he really is removed from it, which is not like it never really left him. And maybe now like that scene to me later when he describes to Creed why he can't train him, it goes back to that sit down with Drago because he doesn't want to be reminded of that. Right. He doesn't want to be reminded of not throwing in the towel and saving him.
Right.
And it's like, it has nothing to do with him like being like a little bravado about it. And that's what I mean. Like I think that I love the movie. little side note, because I'm a music guy, but the score for this movie and the score for Creed is the guy's name is Ludwig something something, okay, Baclavog, okay, or whatever. This dude's score is maybe right now in my all-time scores. I think the Creed suite that he wrote is one of the. I mean, I will put it up there with. I mean, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. Even like we gotta say that, but if we took those out, this would be one of my all-time.
You put it up like with Bill Conti, like Rocky Suite.
I think it's better. I think it's better. I think it's way deeper. There's more to it, and it's masterful.
Can't conjure it.
Yeah,
can't conjure it in my brain. So
this is where sometimes like
where I make no sense to you. You're looking at me like
I'm kind of like he's so critical about these other areas.
Yeah.
But then, like, do you not have ears? Like, even though you're a music guy too, this is literally how Mark makes my head spin. Everyone,
right.
He literally I just don't understand it. I don't. But either way, before we sign off, did you have any final words?
Yeah, I mean the main thing that I thought, there's a couple things. And when I watch a lot of the Stephen Cable Jr. interviews, he's a very interesting guy. He treated everyone, and I think this is kind of the mark of like a good director, is he got different performances out of everybody.
Yeah. And
he knew how to talk to everybody. And every actor that I saw interviews about, and they asked him about that, the way that he was approached, the way he approached Florian. The main thing, I was surprised at the acting scenes in this. Yeah. On how good they were. I think he has more of an eye than a lot of other directors at this phase in their career. This is like second movie. The first movie was The Land, which is a fantastic movie available right now on Netflix. Oh, it's on Netflix? Yeah. Oh, okay. Go watch it on Netflix, and if you compare this to Kruger's Creed, this movie is so much more artful, much more thought out in what's happening within the frame than Creed. To me, Creed and even Black Panther is just, there's like a bright and a gloss to them. This movie, there is a it's Fincher-esque, I'll say. It's a David Fincher-esque movie. I think the last fight, especially the way it was really focused, all the shots were extremely like pushed around the right way. The parting shot of Rocky like sitting in the chair, kind of like almost falling down, like saying, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done here. Like, I don't need to be here anymore. It's your time." Like, does he say anything to? I don't even think he says anything. No, does he say it's your time. Like, it's just like it. Yeah. There's a lot of things being said in it. The two cameos essentially, which I really wasn't expecting, which kind of like pushed me around. Like the Bridget Nielsen one when she walked in. I thought that was awesome. That whole scene's really good because it has Drago doing a million things in his face. Because they're not talking, but he's just like, I don't want to be here. Then he has to go in the other room and tell his son, like, you have to just don't say anything. And he goes nuts. Florian just goes like crazy. He's like, as Victor Drago, he's just like, I hate this. I don't want to. Why are we here? That was his big scene. Yeah. Because like you're almost looking like that they're doing what they're doing to be accepted and for adulation. And then they have it. And then it's not because they were smited so much. Like they're Shakespearean. They're complex. The Dragos in this are complex characters. Okay, far deeper than Rocky IV. Like far deeper. No, it's great than where they were. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I feel that really worked, and I feel that when I don't need to know, and this is what I also really kind of like about this, and I think that Stallone is so, we know how much we love Stallone from the last episode. We love him. He's so giving, the fact that he wrote, and again, when we talked about it in the last thing, we didn't really want anyone else on this. So when the project was first announced, you're like, okay, a sequel, okay, Cougar's not going to do it. Okay, Stallone's going to write and direct it. And you're like, well, wait, like, you were passing off the torch, now you're taking it back, and now you could fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like, but he wrote an outline, and then from what I understand, just like let a lot of stuff just go. Yeah. And well, he gave a speech. Did you? He on his Instagram 2 days ago. He gave a speech where he retired from the role of Rocky. He retired Rocky a couple of days ago on Instagram. Oh wow! Okay. Yeah, and
but it sounded like during that speech, it sounded like he, willingly gave things away to people. Like he knew, and I think that's very clear in this movie because it is a lot like fan fiction. Like this is to me a lot like Force Awakens and Tron Legacy, where it's like, oh, like I know everything about this obscure movie. Let me write the perfect sequel. And like to me, that's what Tron Legacy is. Right. Like it's gonna be a real time sequel. It's like no, we can retell the story and do all kinds of do the same cool things, but make it new. It's like no, Jeff Bridges needs to like. Why does Jeff Bridges even have to be in the movie? Like it's a real time sequel. Like everyone's obsessed with the real time sequels. Yeah. This is the only one that worked.
Well,
because it's
I mean, there is a power in this. The power of the Brigitte Nielsen walk-in is totally different, and that's the power of the real-time sequel. To be devil's advocate on your point, and the same thing with the last scene, which is he goes to Robert's house. He goes to Amelia's house. Yeah, and I was like, are they gonna do this? Because the one time he picks up the phone, and then you're like there's, don't get me wrong. Listen, I know I'm convincing myself I like this movie more than I'm saying, but. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everyone knows I'm a big crybaby. Like 6 or 7 times, like where I'm getting pushed around. I'm like, fuck, and supposedly there's a lot of like specific acting. And there was something when I saw, if you go on Yahoo, always does like a build series, which is really good. It's usually like a one-on-one interview. Yeah, Stephen Cable Jr. did it with Florian and talked about how he would just kind of watch Stallone and let him get ready, and he would just there's a picture of it, I think it's on Stephen Cable Jr.'s Instagram, of like just like a silhouette of Stallone just kind of like standing there as like Rocky, and it's awesome looking. But he didn't, he improvises like the ball, so the one time he kind of turns around and he's about to go in. Yeah. It's all just like Stallone's like, I need to like compose myself before I go in and see this baby. Like I need to like do it in the hospital, and then he just like bounces the ball and then he goes to the phone. Like there's so much stuff going on, and I wasn't sure, and I don't need to know the conflict, you know what I mean, of like why, him and his son, it doesn't matter. No, but that last scene is so good.
Yeah, and it's awesome too to like the build up that they had for it, because you're almost like, oh, like Rocky Balboa or like
he left, he's going to Philly.
Yeah, and it's almost like, but it's just like, oh, like that story's over. Like we're done with that, and then like to bring it back here. And like just the way that I don't know, like it's really they, I think respected the audience with the way it was written, with the assumptions it made, and understanding that they still, again, it's you make a movie first, like we're making a movie that people can watch, like end to end, and then along the way it's just like these Easter eggs. Callbacks, they don't matter, but they're great if you recognize them. But it's still, I think this is still a dramatic movie. And to me, it's like the best Rocky movie because it's the most modern one, and it's new, and the music's new, and the music, the hip hop music used in the movie is like fantastic, and the entrances, and
they did a good visual callback when he like laid next to her. That was like real, and I was like, oh okay, they're doing. So he was homaging the last film, and it wasn't done like, I don't know, man. Like it's really I can only imagine. I just feel like that's got to be a real tough job, and that guy just seemed to do it with like such nuance. But I do to your point as far as the framing and how, I don't know, there's all the performances are just, it's so crazy. Yeah. Now, the only thing I thought of is I was like, I don't want there to be. It's almost like when when we talk about Last Jedi. I don't need another Star Wars movie, man. That like ended the trilogy for me. This ended this one too.
That one was I feel like for this one, if they can't like stop. Because you have a setup now, like you have this whatever world building universe, whatever stupid thing you want to say, but we have this foundation, and if it fails with them trying to do one Creed on his own, without Stallone on camera, it deserves that. They deserve to go like all Creed,
100%,
100% Creed. And I think if that's what they're choosing to do, I feel like that they are only doing it because they have ideas that they know will work or hope will work. Like, you know,
Right.
like I think within the camp of the creative team, they're very inspired by some of these ideas. If that doesn't happen and we're done with this, like we're all
That's
like
okay. I would be curious to have like a Drago movie. That's the only thing. Like, do a one-off Drago movie.
Or how about this? Why doesn't Creed fight the ghost of Tommy Morrison?
Why doesn't he fight in the street? Oh, there was a really funny thing I thought about this too. Is why do I like Stallone not being? I like him in the ring.
Yeah.
But then I also like him like in the basement watching a fight, and then I liked him in the bar watching the fight. In his restaurant by himself. He's just like his body language is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, in Rocky V, he's punching a punching bag,
but
which
it's
is
also
kind of fun and stupid.
But it's also like in the in Creed 1, he is like they always. When they set up the character and the relationship with him and Creed, he's always doing something at the restaurant. He's unloading veggies.
Right,
he's making
stuff.
dough.
Right,
he's on the phone, and you're just like, and it's just like seeing Rocky do
and the running joke with the light. It worked in this. I was like, this is the third time because it's the third roll of threes. He referenced it 3 times. He says it the first. And then he talks about it later, and then he's on the phone. With the
when he's on the phone with them, that's the best.
That's the funniest one. That's the rule of threes. And I'm like, you're doing the rule of threes in here? Like I was like, oh my god. But no, that shouldn't work.
No,
it hits.
I thought I was waiting. Like I saw this set. Like I'm like they're only saying that. Like I saw that coming, like a mile down. And
I think the second time I was like, they're gonna do a third.
But see, this is where like being able to deconstruct something and be critical as you're watching it. To me, like. I think for you build off letdowns, and for me, I build off payoffs because I get excited. I'm like, oh, like, and then when it happens, I'm like, yeah, like, because for me, it's like, it's so rare for something to be good at all, and I appreciate it like even more. And then this is where like I think part of me is I continuously find good in a lot of things that people just want to trash because I always believe it being one of the hardest things to do is to make a movie of like some of these scales. Like I think this was a $70 million. I think it cost $70 million. Again, looked like it cost more. Looked like there was more to it, but I don't know. I like it. I recommend it, and. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I mean, I still highly recommend it. Don't get me wrong. I just, like, for me, my scales are different. I think this is probably the most complete film front to back, considering, like, Rocky Balboa is my favorite one because I like all the script of it, but the third act's terrible. Like, the last fight's no good.
Match.
He walks out, and he's just, like, he's waving to people. No, like, he should be really upset, you know, like, so they set it up, like... So I understand that. Creed, I think, is a bit more satisfying as like a handoff, and I like the you fight, I fight stuff. I think that stuff's really good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
I think the script in the second one's a little bit better, but I would have to say that the acting and full payoff and theme is the best one.
And real quick too, before we get out of here, Mark, amazing insight. We're going to watch the Captain Marvel trailer 2 when we're done here because it is live.
My phone was telling me.
Oh, thanks for updating our listeners.
Well, I'm not gonna. We're in the thing.
That's what she said. Okay, signing off, everyone. Love you. Thanks for tuning in.